Welcome back to The Explainer. Okay, imagine going to sleep in a world where AI is mostly just this limitless, super helpful commercial tool, and then waking up to realize it has suddenly ignited a global geopolitical war. Well, that is exactly what happened on April 28th, 2026. In the span of just a single night, the entire tech world essentially flipped upside down. We saw shockwaves blast through international trade, enterprise security, physical infrastructure, and yeah, all the way down to the video games we play.
Just look at this 48-hour window. The cascade of events is literally insane. We're talking about totally unprecedented international trade interventions, emergency security patches, massive shifts in software billing, literal space-age energy deals, huge hardware announcements, and the launch of a blockbuster video game. A landscape is shifting at breakneck speed right now, and if you blink, you're going to miss exactly how all these seemingly separate events are actually deeply connected.
So, to make sense of all this chaos, here's our game plan for today. First, geopolitics and AI warfare. Then, enterprise costs and security. Third, powering tomorrow's hardware. Fourth, the consumer tech escape. And finally, we'll wrap it all up with the big takeaways.
All right, kicking things off with Section 1, Geopolitics and AI Warfare, specifically looking at the Meta-Manus block. Okay, let's dive into this, because as of right now, AI is officially no longer just a cool consumer product or a handy enterprise tool. It is the ultimate strategic asset, and nations are starting to treat it like highly classified weaponry. $2.5 billion. That's billion with a B. That was the value of Meta's acquisition of the AI agentic startup Manus. It was literally the largest AI acquisition in history, and it closed 4 months ago, back in December 2025. The money changed hands, the ink was dry, the whole deal was done. But then, in a completely unprecedented move, China's National Development and Reform Commission, the NDRC, ordered Meta to reverse the entire acquisition and fully restore the assets within weeks. I mean, this is a massive, massive shock to the system. Now, you might be wondering, and frankly, a lot of people are, how exactly does China avoid a deal for a startup that's registered in Singapore? Well, here are the facts on the ground. While Manus is registered in Singapore, it was founded by Chinese engineers, and it holds technology and data assets within China. So the NDRC is applying a very broad interpretation of their national security laws here. They're asserting that this specific technology is a strategic asset, and they claim that transferring it to a U.S. company fundamentally threatens their national security. This is incredibly significant, right? Because it's the very first time China has voided a closed deal from outside its borders. The message to the world is loud and clear. Chinese-founded AI tech is now a geopolitical asset regardless of borders, and foreign investment in it can theoretically be reversed at any time. And honestly, this creates such a bizarre reality in the market right now. Looking at the AI Fear and Greed Index, we're seeing 72% greed compared to just 28% fear. So on one hand, you have massive geopolitical risk. I mean, it's a giant red alert with this menu steel blockage. But then on the exact same day, there is this overwhelming peak bullish demand for AI hardware and development. Investors are kind of caught in a tug of war. They're absolutely terrified of a trade war, but they are way too greedy for the AI boom to actually step away. Moving right along to Section 2, Enterprise Costs and Security. We're looking at GitHub and Microsoft here. So as AI turns into this heavily guarded global resource, the actual everyday infrastructure that developers and enterprises rely on is going through some serious, dramatic growing pains. For developers, that era of all-you-can-eat AI, yeah, that's coming to an end. GitHub just officially announced that starting June 1st, which is only 34 days from this news breaking, Copilot is switching to usage-based billing. Now, if you're a light user, don't panic. Basic code completion and next edit suggestions, those are staying unlimited. But if you rely heavily on Copilot chat, CLI actions, and those cloud agents, you're now going to be paying for GitHub AI credits based on token usage. It's essentially standard AI API billing now. The base subscription price stays the same, but the heavy power users, they're going to see their costs rise significantly. We're talking potentially double or triple. And here's the kicker. While the costs are climbing, some of our core security paradigms are literally breaking down. A security firm called Silverfort just discovered a terrifying, truly critical vulnerability in Microsoft Entra ID. And the deep irony here? This vulnerability actually stemmed from the brand new Agent ID Administrator role. This was a role literally designed by Microsoft to help organizations safely manage their new AI agents. Instead, it became the ultimate security risk. It allowed pretty much anyone with that role to take over unrelated service principals and gain total control of the entire organization's tenant. And the scariest part of the whole shebang, it required zero days, no malware.
It just abused legitimate APIs, which made it practically invisible to traditional security monitors. Now, Microsoft has patched it, but man, it really exposes just how incredibly vulnerable our current frameworks are to these new AI tools.
Okay, Section 3, Powering Tomorrow's Hardware. Let's talk about Meta Energy and Nvidia.
Because look, AI doesn't just demand new software security frameworks, right? It demands physical power. A mind-boggling, almost incomprehensible amount of specialized hardware and electricity. To try and solve this massive energy crisis caused by AI computing, Meta just signed the world's first space-based solar energy deal with Overview Energy. I know, it sounds exactly like pure science fiction, but it is really happening. Here's how it works. Step 1. 1,000 satellites go into orbit to collect solar energy directly from the sun, completely unobstructed by weather or nighttime. Step 2. They beam that energy straight down to Earth as infrared light. And step 3, ground-based solar farms catch it and convert it into a massive 1 gigawatt of electricity. Guys, that is enough to power a mid-sized city 24/7. They're doing a pilot demonstration in 2028 with commercial delivery aimed for 2030. It's just a staggering leap in infrastructure.
Meanwhile, back down here on Earth, Nvidia is making a massive, massive play. They are officially entering the $200 billion PC market. By partnering with MediaTek, they're unveiling the ARM-based N1 for consumer laptops and the N1X for professional laptops at Computex 2026. These chips are integrating the CPU, GPU, and NPU all into a single package. And make no mistake, NVIDIA's N1 and N1X chips are going straight for the throat of the Apple M4 and Qualcomm's Snapdragon X. With major heavy hitters like Asus, Dell, and Lenovo already on board, the hardware landscape for your next laptop just got incredibly competitive.
Which brings us to Section 4, the Consumer Tech Escape. Let's talk about Saros on the PS5.
All right, so we've covered international trade wars, enterprise billing, literal space lasers, and silicon chips. Let's take a quick dynamic breather and look at how tech is impacting the consumer entertainment world. Because it wasn't all heavy news on April 28th. Gamers actually had an incredible night with a highly anticipated launch of Saros. Developed by Housemarque, the brilliant Finnish studio behind Returnal, Saros has basically instantly become the biggest PS5 exclusive of 2026. You play as an enforcer named Arjun Devraj, dropping onto this brutally hostile alien world called Planet Carcosa. And the reviews? Absolutely stellar. The Verge called it pure action nirvana, giving it a 9 out of 10. Critics across the board agree it's the true successor to Returnal. But what's really great is that it features a much more accessible progression system. It allows for some meaningful carryover between runs, so it's a bit more forgiving for players.
And that brings us to our final section, Section 5, the big takeaways. Pros, cons, and the future. As much fun as Saros is, it's ultimately an escape from the incredibly complex reality that is unfolding in the wider tech sector. So let's pull all of these separate threads together and look at the macro-level impact. The crucial point here is how the market immediately digested all this wild information. Qualcomm shot up 13% as a key OpenAI chip partner. MediaTek is up 8%, directly benefiting from their big partnership with Nvidia on those new laptop chips. Apple, on the other hand, they dipped 1.7%, precisely because Nvidia is now legitimately threatening their MacBook dominance. You see, these aren't just abstract tech announcements. They are shifting billions of dollars in real time and totally resetting the financial realities of the industry.
When you weigh this whole 24-hour cycle out, it is a massive tug of war. In the pros column, we have some absolutely incredible technological leaps. We got a blockbuster game in Saros, a successfully patched critical security flaw, genuine space-age energy innovation, and fierce new competition in laptop CPUs, which, let's be real, is always a good thing for consumers. But then you look at the cons column, and those costs are looming large. The Manus block introduces a massive level of geopolitical risk for any Chinese-linked AI investments. Those new Copilot costs are definitely going to sting heavy developers. That amazing space energy, it's still at least 4 years away from actual commercial viability. And that Entra ID vulnerability really exposed just how fragile our enterprise networks are when we introduce these new AI management tools.
Which leaves us with one final burning question to chew on. April 28 proved that AI has officially stopped being just a fun tech experiment. It is now the most heavily guarded, fiercely contested, and frankly power-hungry resource on Earth. I mean, it's rewriting international trade laws, breaking established security frameworks, and literally forcing us to figure out how to beam power from space.
The ripple effect has touched absolutely everything. So as we watch this brand new reality unfold, you have to ask yourself, are we truly prepared for the geopolitical AI war? Thanks for hanging out with me on this explainer. Keep asking the big questions, and I'll catch you on the next one.